I'm Jake Bruton, and today on The Build Show, we are going to talk about hardwood flooring. Okay, so when we start our conversation about hardwood flooring, let's start with like the history lesson behind hardwood flooring. And I'm going to talk mostly about my market. I understand that if you are in Maine or New York or just in general on the East Coast, you may have weird longleaf pine or Douglas fir flooring that's 10 or 12 inches wide from a couple hundred years ago with jute rope stuff between it. That's not my market. My market, the first generation of hardwood flooring that we still see today, is 2 1/4 or 1 1/2 or 1 inch white oak. It's 3/4 thick when it was installed. So this is one solid board. This is white oak. It's a tongue and groove. They relieve it a little bit on the back, which helps it lay flatter and gives it a little bit of stability. And this board, or this type of flooring, is nailed through the tongue, and then the next one comes in and latches into place. That one's nailed through the tongue, and so on and so forth through the entire building or through the entire floor. And then someone comes on site, sands the entire thing, and then we site finish the flooring. This is something that even until recently was still part of the vernacular of the homes that we build. In this size and shape, a 2 1/4 white oak, especially a piece that's vertical grain like this, is extremely reliable, and we can get really good durability, and we can get this is a 75-year floor if it's taken care of and it's maintained properly. And that's part of the reason that until recently we were still pushing for that. Now, in the last 5 years, we've had a different request from clients, architects, and interior designers. And that request is for a wider floor. Everyone wants that 3 1/2 or 5 1/2 inch wide flooring. Well, if we're going to do that out of solid oak or solid wood, I have concerns that when I have clients that are heating in the morning, cooling in the afternoon, and then open their windows at night, that we're going to have major fluctuations in what's going on in the indoor environment with humidity and temperature, and I could have movement issues. So as of recently, we've been gluing anything, full gluing anything down that's wider than 3 1/2 inches, just from a builder risk standpoint. Even when the manufacturer doesn't request it, we're still taking some steps because I don't have control over how you live in your house, and I don't want you to complain about the flooring when you're the one that damaged it. So we're going to do everything we can to increase durability. Well, in the last few years, since we've started getting a little wider flooring requests, we've started looking for trade partners that manufacture high-quality engineered flooring. This product is actually the same thing that's in our office and my personal house. This is a 7 1/2 inch wide oak, French oak, that is from Delta Millworks in Austin, Texas. These guys are making a fantastic product, and it is absolutely gorgeous and dimensionally stable. And so when we compare this to the white oak of the past, we don't have much of a difference in grain or sheen of finish if we pay close attention and we make the right choices. But we gain in aesthetics the idea that now I would never do a 7 1/2 inch wide floor in a solid wood floor. I don't think you could even find one nowadays. And the other benefit with this specific product from Delta was some of these boards are over 10 feet long. I'm not getting 10-foot long, 3/4 thick hardwood. So it brings up, how do we choose which floor to go with? And I think that we could make a very honest argument that if it's a historic home and they're going to go with 2 1/4 wide, 3/4 to match other parts of the home, there's absolutely no reason why you still couldn't do a true hardwood flooring. But I think outside of that, if you're going to anybody else, any type of modern design or anything, going to an engineered floor, going to a wider plank, going to longer boards makes sense. For instance, just from an installation standpoint for time of installation, so labor. Once this is installed, it's finished. I don't have to come back and sand. I don't have to shut down for production days. And now that I have it laying on the 3 boards underneath of it, this is 1 board to make up those 3, and don't think of it as 1 to 3, think of it as 3 rows all the way across the room to 1 row all the way across the room. So this product's gonna install in a much quicker fashion. But when it comes to the criteria that I'm using to choose engineered flooring, the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking for a reputable trade partner. I'm looking for somebody that has a good name, has good reviews, and somebody that I can call and ask questions and they have the answers. Because if they don't have the answers, then I'm worried that they don't understand what they're selling me. So if they have good installation instructions, if when I call to ask a couple questions about a product or I ask for help with the takeoff or something, they're willing to help, then I know that they're probably gonna be willing to help if I have an issue. I'm also looking for, and believe it or not, I've actually seen this a couple times, I'm looking for 0 void plywood. Even in the samples that they send me, if you have voided plywood in your engineered flooring, that is not a good idea. That's a place that could cause problems. That's a place that could be lacking glue. That's a place that the plywood wasn't high quality. You're looking for 0 void plywood. I've only seen the non-zero void plywood in really cut rate, bottom of the barrel, hey, we found this on discount at the home center sort of flooring. I haven't seen it in any quality products like what this company sells or what other companies sell as well. Next, concerning the plywood, if you think of this plywood core as being the stability of the product and we're looking for something high quality, something 0 void, then you also have to understand that the reason plywood works is because it has an odd number of layers. So if I have something that's 2 layers and one of those layers tension's different than the other layer, then I could have warping one way or the other. But if I have 3 layers and the 2 outer layers are tensioned the same way, then I have a stable product. So you'll have 3, 5, 7, 9, yes, I can count by odd numbers, plywood in a system. Well, if you take that piece of plywood and you put white oak on the top of it, then you better believe that there should be a layer of white oak that's close to the same thickness on the bottom side to make that plywood maintain its odd number of layers and therefore its stability. I think that this is pretty ingenious. I've seen this quite a few times where they're kind of breadboarding together multiple different pieces so that they have something that is white oak without having to use a large pretty board on the back side. I'm also looking for a surface that is sandable. If we're going to put down something that we're hoping lasts 100 years, 50 years, 75 years even, we're looking for something that can be refinished. I want to be able to sand it and add a new finish the same as I would with the traditional 2 1/4 white oak. I've yet to see but maybe a couple that said they weren't sandable, and again they were that low budget, bottom of the barrel. If we're going to spend 20 grand on flooring for a house, it better be more than just once. It better be flooring for a couple years. So that's how we came to the idea that engineering flooring would work for us. It does propose some challenges. The idea that you're putting down 7.5-inch wide planks can be a little challenging to some people. You can't just yam them in place with a nail gun like you could with 2 1/4 oak if you had a little bit of movement in the boards. Thankfully, we get really straight product from them. And then the other big question we get is stairs. Well, how do I do stairs? Because I don't want that plywood showing and I don't want some weird lip around the edge. We had that conversation with Delta in particular, and because they're not, because they're very hands-on and accommodating for us, what they did was they sent us a sample of true 3/4 white oak wood with the same finish on it so that they could produce stair treads for us. So we have a job coming up where they're going to produce our stair treads and our nosings for us. So problem solved. Now we have the same product on the face of the wood as we do on the face of the engineered wood, and now they look the same because the same machine finished it as well, and we don't have any concerns about our on-site hardwood installer manufacturing treads and then trying to match stain or finish. So Again, we picked a reputable company. We picked a high quality wood that's on both sides of the ply. We picked a high quality ply on the interior, and we picked a sandable surface. I think you have those 4 things in place, you're more likely to get a quality floor that's going to last a lifetime and that can grow or can be maintained and be part of your house for a long time. Thanks for watching today on The Build Show. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It's jake.bruton. Don't forget to check out Matt, Wade, Brent, and Steve that are putting up new content every week on the Build Show Network. And thanks for watching.